A very good day to you. This is your host, Doc Ant, on our program called Unleashing Potential. And oh boy, if ever you want to meet somebody that knows how to unleash other people's potential, it's the one and only Magriet Mouton. Magriet, how are you doing today? And welcome today.
Thank you very much, Doc Ant. It's an absolute privilege for me to be online with you and to talk something that I'm passionate about, which is strengths.
Absolutely. And you know, stranger, in terms of helping other corporates get ahead using the StrengthsFinder assessment, and yourself being a specialist coach. But first, in all fairness, I mean, you are a director and a co-director of the Being Human group, the BHG group. That's how it works. And I know that you guys are operating globally. You've done a lot of work in Africa lately. But just tell me, just how's this year been for you?
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Doc Ant. So this year has been exceptional for us. We, as always, get to train Gallup global strengths coaches across Africa. So we've trained people in Mauritius, Nigeria, Tanzania, Kenya, Botswana, Namibia. And it's just so wonderful to experience the hunger that people in Africa have to make a difference. They want to make a difference in people's lives. They want to grow others. They want to take the message of strengths to every corner of Africa. And that is so exciting.
Well, that really is. But, ultimately, companies is about people. Yes, companies are there to make bottom line results, but they cannot do so, can't achieve those results without people being the key ingredient. Now, I'm no stranger to strengths finders. I did it with you, I think, 10 or 12 years ago. And it was wonderful to see when I redid it with you, I think 10 years thereafter, that I was still pretty much the same me. Now, that's what I like about strengths finders, that you remain within your top 10 of who you are. Maybe a slight focus change in terms of your growth, because, nobody is stagnant. Everybody grows to the next level. But I know I can still remember my strengths, which you've helped me to permeate through my business. Point per se, for instance, I found that my business partner, myself, which happens to be my wife, have got separate strengths, and how we dovetail, where it comes together, which is a great help for our business. But you took me next level by taking my report and saying to me, do you know what this means? Do you know how this gets implemented? So let's make this a little bit practical to let other people understand what is possible and why they should be looking for you specifically. Because I can tell you one thing, this is one of the best trainers on strengths I've ever met in my life. She knows how to apply it to you and how to apply it into business. So if you just look at the hundreds of people that you have coached, not only individuals, but also coaches that actually coach others, just give us a bit of a background and why are you doing what you're doing?
Thank you, Doc. And so, why am I doing what I do? So, when I was in my early 20s, I came across this book, Now Discover Your Strengths. And I did the assessment, which is today known as the CliftonStrengths assessment. So I did the assessment, and for the first time in my life, on paper, I could see what makes me great. And that got me excited. I read everything I could about CliftonStrengths. Those days it was called StrengthsFinder. You're absolutely right. And I did research, and I couldn't believe how powerful this tool is. How can it be that asking 200 questions could tell me how I think, how I feel, and how I behave? How does that? I got so excited that I remember I took, in those days, half of my salary and bought books, because the assessment code was only available in book format in those days. That was the early 2000s. And I remember Doc, and that I gave one of those books to you.
Yes.
I bought 20 books, and I said, the people who makes an impact in my life, I want to give this book to those people. And you were one of those. And we discovered what makes you great. And when I saw the impact on the people around me, I thought, this is a message that I want to dedicate my life to. And then since then, I bought assessments for people around me. I started talking to people about their Clifton strengths, what makes them great, what makes them unique. And this tool has made such a huge difference in so many people's lives because it started with me. It made a difference in my life. Now, let me just clarify that. The assessment didn't start with me, but the impact that Clifton Strengths had in my life, it started, and I would just wanted to take the message further and introduce everyone I meet to this powerful tool.
Well, that's what you did with me. You sent me the book. That's what got me hooked. But let's talk about your first strength. And for people to understand why. So what is your first strength and how can you use that in society today?
So, Doc, and my first one is called individualization.
What is that?
It's a relationship building strength. That's the strength that I use to build relationships with others. It is a strength that helps to focus on what motivates people. Okay. So I ask questions. I ask a lot of questions when I meet new people, and I want to know what makes them unique and what makes them special. If I can tell you a short story, recently I got a new dentist, right? And I'm curious, why did she decide to become a dentist? Because I think she's an exceptional dentist. When she sorted out my root canal, she was so gentle and empathetic. It was noteworthy. And I asked her, why dentist? Why did you become a dentist? And I just lay back and I let her do a thing, and she told me a story. And that was such a special moment for me, because I could hear what her motivation was and what makes her special. So people with individualization see others as special, and I make people feel special as well.
Okay, because obviously that means you know how to edify people, not to glorify them. Because if you edify somebody, you actually uplift them to a level where they feel better about themselves, but you don't blow smoke up their behind so that they feel glorified and they feel more than what they should be. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely. It's a noticing of what makes people special. It's almost like diving into the ocean, looking for a pearl, and when you spot that pearl, you just admire that pearl for who the pearl is, so to speak.
Perfect. What's your second one?
Learner.
Oh, what does that mean? Okay, it sounds like you like to learn things. Is that the right deduction?
Yeah, it's what it says on the box. I'm very curious. I'm curious about people. I I was curious about technology until ChatGPT came into my life and into the world, and then I just I just lost the plot. So I'm very curious about people. You know what is working for people, what is not working for people, and then go on a journey with them to learn what could really help them make their lives work.
And obviously, you know, if we talk about AI or artificial intelligence, if you look at that combination of learner with AI, because no doubt we are learning certain things faster than ever before. I mean, in Google, you used to go and search, but boy, AI is just so fast in terms of giving you what you're looking for. It's incredible. And it really helps us get to the next level. So for a learner like you, I know you don't waste time by watching movies and stuff. You're out there looking at what's the next best thing, what's helping people get to the next level. Is that correct?
Doc, and it's it motivates me. I get so much energy from learning. What I've realized is that learning could be a blind spot for me. So sometimes I would go down the rabbit hole with a topic, and I had to learn to curate my time for learning. So I now do learning mostly on a Sunday. Otherwise, I would never work, because I would just read and learn and so on.
Fantastic.
And yeah, I love it. It's a theme that just ignites me.
Hit me the third one. What is the third one? Let us hear.
The third one is called belief. Now, belief has got nothing to do with religion.
Oh, okay.
Belief has got everything to do with values. So I'm very passionate about certain values that I have, about having a purpose. Having purpose is so important to me. If I feel like I don't have a purpose, it really affects me negatively. So I always want to make sure that I've got a purpose for which to live, and that I'm really making a difference in people's lives. So that excites me.
So would you resonate better with people that know what they want, know where they're going, as opposed to people that are just laissez-faire at anything that can happen? How would you interact with those people?
That's a good question, Doc. I think that my learning would lead me to ask questions.
Okay.
I think so. From that perspective, I'm curious to know what is inside a person. But what gets me excited is someone who says, Magriet, I know where I want to go. I just don't know how to get there, and I need help. And that's how learner and belief interact with one another. They augment.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the right word, but they form a dynamic that leads me to first ask questions, and then say, right, let's work together. Let's see if I can support you in getting what you want.
And is it
where
okay?
You want to go.
Is it okay if somebody else believes something totally different to you, but they believe very strongly in it? How does that resonate with the way that you will handle that?
Yeah, Doc, and you mentioned something in the intro that that fits so well into with this question. So we are all born with our talents, our strengths, and as we grow older, our expression of strengths change. The strength itself remains stable. So in my early years, I was very, I would say, in my own words, fundamental, right? So if you don't believe what I believe, then I don't want to interact with you. I think life has taught me that is a very narrow-minded way of living life. And so through different experiences, some of them painful, some of them useful in learning the lessons, I've learned that I do not have to agree with what you believe, and you don't have to agree with what I believe, for us to have a really useful and valuable conversation. I've also learned that it is very valuable to actually interact with people that do not believe the same as I do, because I can always learn from them. And who is to say that I'm right? I don't think I'm right all the time. So it's but I want to be curious all the time. So,
but it's difficult with those people that actually do believe that they are right at all times. It's more difficult to have a sensible conversation with them because sort of one track and this is what they want. But like you say, as you engage, as long as we both can add value to one another. But some people, nothing can teach them because they're just not teachable, and that's okay too. There comes a time where anybody can choose to set the boundary and say, thank you, but no, thank you, not for me. I hear you, but also then choose to move along. Isn't that true?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
what is your fourth one?
It's called connectedness. Now, connectedness is also a relationship building theme. If I can just say that learner is a strategic thinking theme, falls into the strategic thinking domain. Belief is an executing theme. I use belief to execute. And I also, and then connectedness. Connectedness is my fourth one. And I build relationships with connectedness as well.
So individualization and connectedness definitely are strongly related, correct?
Yes.
They
yes.
would be.
They fall both into the relationship building domain.
And then what summarizes the whole package? What's number 5?
So number 5 is called maximizer. Maximizer is an influencing strength. With my maximizer, I love to help people to go from average to excellence. Growth is I would say one of my main values that I hold on to. Growth on a daily basis, monthly. It's just something that I cannot live without. If there's no growth for me, then it feels like I'm in a desert.
Well, I must be honest with you, that last one in your portfolio is one that excites me the most but you see, now it comes back to like, I'm listening, yes, 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 and then, oh, maximize, and now you've got my attention. But I just realized I fell into the trap. You see through the filter of who you are, because the moment you spoke about maximizer, my second strength, which is activator, kicked in. Like, oh, let's get into action and let's maximize what you're doing it while we're doing it. Isn't it true that it is so helpful to understand who you're working with? You know your strengths, they know what their strengths are, and you basically try to augment them for the betterment of getting results in the business and to improve things.
Look, and it's the ultimate 1 + 1 = 3 equation. So I so agree with you. And in fact, you mentioned your activator. And I remember in our conversations that activator just gets you out of the block. When I think about you and your activator, it's less talking, let's do it. Let's go for it.
Get into trouble sometimes, because I sometimes do before I even think.
Bodies who are and who I remember you as.
Correct. Because the thing is, you don't have to apologize for who you are. One thing I've seen is, as I said, over the years, 10, 12 years ago, is that those strong strengths are still there, and the 1 or 2 adjustments are still part of the top 10. It's just that my focus has slightly changed. For instance, strategy has always been number 1, which means I look 30 years ahead and then I reverse engineer it in terms of how this is going to influence me now. So I frustrate people because I speak about things in the future and they go like, who cares? Because they can't think that far ahead. And that's the one thing you made me realize. No, don't be hard on yourself. It's a gift that you have. It's a lack that they have. And that sort of brought the balance for me, because I felt, how come I'm betting to engage with people because I'm always so far ahead of seeking a solution and wanting to make a difference. And then that activator kicks in and I go like, oh, okay, too much. So needless to say, I don't have many friends that want to work with me because they think I'm just too much. So what? That's okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's interesting.
It is interesting. But then what helped me calm down is when I had a relator in the middle, strategic into activator into the relator side, when it realized it's not about me, it's about people. So it doesn't matter what I do, how I express it, I always put it through the ambit of what's in it for them. How can I help them grow? How can I take them to the next level? Which is very good. And I smile. You warned me about my fourth one and said, just watch out this one doesn't trip me up, which was competition, because I can't help it. I like to try and compete. And my wife and I, boy, since the day that we met, We were in competition with each other, but it's a healthy competition because it pushes us both to a level where we both really want to achieve. And I remember my fifth one was ideation, of just getting ideas, thinking out of the box, and just getting it done. Now, obviously, our time sort of started to run out, and we heard what you also have given a brief summary of mine. But can you just help refresh my memory? I remember you spoke about the balcony in the basement. And if I just look at my strengths, how you said the end, you want to be on the balcony, man, but you don't want to go down to the basement. You don't want those things to hit you in the wrong place. So just help us understand how the dynamic of knowing with a one-on-one coaching session with yourself, how distributing what we know through that, distilling it either from the balcony or the basement, how that helps you either use or not use your strength.
You, Doc, and I think balcony is when your strengths are helpful, when it's helpful to you, and when it's helpful to others.
Okay.
The basement is when it hinders you. So when it hinders either you or the people you work with. So it's a helping and a hindering. It's the value I bring, and it could be a blind spot. Now, let me use my own strengths.
Okay.
So with Maximizer, I help people to grow. Okay, but where it hinders people is where I start to expect perfection.
Okay.
And I expect perfection from myself. Now, over the last couple of years, I've really worked hard with a coach to shift my focus and attention to the value that this strength brings, as opposed to the wanting everything to be perfect, right?
Okay.
So that's one helpful and helping and hindering example that I can give you. Another example could be, and I mentioned it earlier with my learner, where it helps me when I want to learn something new, but it hinders me when I go down the rabbit hole, just learning. 5 hours has gone by and I haven't executed or finished anything else during the day. Okay. So helping, hindering.
Now, Magriet, we know that when we do the assessment, there are 33 strengths, of which I know that you work with the top 5 and then sometimes the top 10 to help a person to implement it effectively into their lives. And my mind immediately went to, but what about the last 5, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 34, I immediately went, but I would like to improve those. And I distinctly remember how you said to me, not necessarily, because remember, it's not who you are. Don't waste your time on spending so much time trying to improve a strength that's not really you. Leave that for those who've got that gift. Use your strengths to maximize those into getting better results. Am I right? Is that still the same approach?
Yes, Doc. And so there's 34 Clifton Strengths themes. The top 10 are called your dominant. The bottom 5 are called your lesser themes. Now, Doc, and I know that you play golf and you love golf.
Love it.
Right?
Love it.
Now, the fact that we are sitting here on this call and you are not playing the PGA Tour, does that golf is a weakness for you, or do you just not have as much talent as Rory McIlroy?
I just don't have as much talent as him, but it doesn't mean I don't enjoy it as much. I love it. I love it. I love it. True.
The bottom themes work exactly like that.
Okay.
It is you're just not world class at those. You don't have enough talent to really be world class in those talents.
Now you've ruined the friendship to remind me of that's wonderful.
It doesn't mean that you can't do it. So for example, if you have restorative, the strength that solves problems, don't have restorative. If you have restorative in your bottom 5, that doesn't say that you can't solve problems.
Okay.
It just says that you don't You don't like to solve problems 24 hours a day,
100%.
right? Whereas with your competition, you can compete 24 hours a day, Doc. And I remember we've had many a competition.
Many a competition.
And that's what it means. It doesn't, so it's a lesser talent.
Correct.
Where
But
your top 10 are your dominant talents.
You know what? I'm going to ask you if you would be available the next time we come back and speak about the importance of mentorship, the importance of the coaching aspect of, because, we've not just touched on the base of how it's affected your life, what it really is about, and that people can get involved. So I think what I would like to do is, with your permission, can I invite you back that next week we talk about the effect of mentorship, one-on-one coaching, and how they can take people to the next level? Would that be okay with you?
I would be delighted, Doc Ant. Thank you for the invitation.
But I first want to know, for anybody that's now listening to this, they're saying, I want to know my strengths. What do they do? Where do they go? How can they get hold of? And nowadays, we used to buy the book had the code. What do they do nowadays to actually have this strength assessment done?
So, Doc Ant, they can go to www.bhgroup.africa. So that's B for Bravo, H for Hotel, group.africa. And they can purchase Clifton Strengths assessments there. We get the order, we sit, and then we can also offer debriefs where we help you to understand your Clifton Strengths reports effectively.
Okay, so that'll be for the individual, but what for the person that basically knows StrengthsFinders? And I know that from time to time, you literally run a coaching program where coaches come on and they make Clifton StrengthsFinders part of their ambit and their secret weapon. When is your next workshop? Just I would like to have that on here as well.
So the Gallup Global Strengths Coaching Certification is offered 5 times a year here in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And this next intake is the 18th of November. It's a global coaching certification, and you contact info@bhgroup.africa to learn more about this intake as well as 2025's intake as well.
Fantastic. So I just want to confirm that we have Magriet Mouton on here. She's the director for the Be Human Group. And the first thing came up for people that are into training, teaching, and facilitation in any way, would like to acquire the skill of StrengthsFinders. The 18th of November, you're welcome to join. All you have to do is to go to info@bhgroup.africa, and that will get you to book to participate in the training. If on a one-on-one you would like to literally do the stress assessment, you will just go to www.bhgroup.africa and go and look for your Clifton StrengthsFinders assessment. So Magriet, I want to thank you for your time today. And if I could ask you, what is your parting message? The person is sort of sitting on the chair and saying, do I really want to do this? And should I do it? What is your message to that person? We're listening.
If you want to discover your potential for excellence, if you want to understand what makes you great, do your Clifton Strengths assessment and have a strengths debrief with a strengths coach.
And there you have it. That is Magriet Mouton from the Be Human Group, and the expert, as far as I'm concerned, on how to manage your strengths to the next level. I want to thank you for so much, and looking forward to having you next week when we speak about mentoring and coaching in this area. And remember, for all of you out there, unleash your full potential. Why? Take action.